Welcome to episode 301 of the Grip Strip Podcast, the winter weather wildcard edition of the Grip Strip Podcast. My name is Philip Matthew, home from Apex One in Westfield, New Jersey from race night. First race went well, next two not so much, but hey, that's racing. As always, with me is my co-host, the iRacing Indy 500 champion, computer genius, a gentleman and a scholar on the road. Pre-Daytona 500 week. His name is Josh Fine. What's going on, brother?
Hey man, doing great. Of course, on the road again, but I'm glad to have the Clash back, I guess, and NASCAR season just about here, ready to go. And of course, still got the Super Bowl this weekend and everything, so looking forward to all that and everything. But yeah, ready to get into it.
Yeah, so we're gonna see. We're gonna go over the events of the Clash that finally ran. Excuse me, on Wednesday night, which saw Ryan Preece winning a Cup car for the first time in his career. Long-time modified standout in the Northeast, former modified tour champion, has won in the Truck and Xfinity series before, made his name in the Big Three series by basically betting on himself after driving for Johnny Davis, took a budget, went to Gibbs, ran a Gibbs car, won a couple of times, and that basically put him in line for his Cup career. So we'll get into that. All the other events of the weekend as we lead. We're just a week away from the Daytona 500 qualifying and the duels. And some sponsor announcements, some contract announcements, other things going on there, issues for Denny Hamlin with another injury, but sounds like he's going to race through it. We'll get into the coaching news because all the coaches now have been determined for the NFL. For next year. Last two jobs have been closed. We'll talk about Supercross last week at Houston, along with the Formula E last week. That was at Miami. And not past events are now upcoming events. Yeah, they did. For whatever reason, missing the Miami information there, but whatever. And then we'll get into the Super Bowl, make a preview and picks for that. And then Josh will let us know all things going on iRacing, gaming, and sim segment. We'll call it a day. So yeah, let's get into the Clash. After I don't know how many days, what was supposed to be a 2-day event with practice and qualifying on Saturday, the last chance qualifier and the race on Sunday, the snowstorms in Carolina moved that, canceled the Saturday portion, became a 1-day show. Then it got canceled on Sunday, then it was going to be moved to Monday, and then eventually moved to Wednesday, the 4th, where they ran everything on one day. They did two short practice sessions, or a couple of short practice sessions, which led into a qualifying. Very few cars that were in the first group, were able to advance. The top 20 in times advanced into the main event straight up based on their qualifying time, which I think was basically Connor Zilich, and I don't remember offhand who all made it in there, but in the end, they then did the last chance qualifier for everybody else that was left, and that ended up with Josh Berry winning and Austin Cindric door banging with Corey LaJoie, who was filling in for Brad Keselowski in the 6th car for that second transfer spot. Alex Bowman was locked in because he was the highest points finisher that hadn't made it in. He parked his car, so that's how that. So 2 8-minute sessions of practice. Final practice session served as qualifying. Qualify locked in the top 20. I wonder if it shows what group they were in now. I don't think so. I think it was literally Connor Zilic, Daniel Suarez, and maybe Dylan, I think, amongst the second group that were the only ones that made it in from that first group. But I can go over here. I can go and find that out for you. That was just overall practice results. That doesn't show which group they were in. Okay. So there's group. So it was, they split them into 6 groups. Okay. I think basically everybody who was in group 3 here made it into the main event without a problem through qualifying. That's, what does that work out to be? 7 and 6, 13 cars. Then outside of that, Dylan, Busher, that's 2, that's 15, Carson Osavar, 16, Kyle Busch, 17, and Ty Gibbs was 18. And then from group 1, Ryan Preece and Connor Zilic. So Ryan Preece, Connor Zilic, and Daniel Suarez were all made it. So who did I say that probably made it through? Did I say Dylan? Might have been, or Kyle, I don't know. Whatever the hell. I was trying to keep track of it. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, there was a few people that, that weren't in that like preferred group that were able to make it in. A lot of caution laps. There was a freezing rain, sleet delay. They had to blow the track off for that. They had to put the wet weather tires on. They're not talking about where they counted how many laps of caution, but I think there was just as many laps of caution as there were in over the race itself. There was 200 green flag laps, and there was at least 160 something caution laps, I think, at least, in the end. But after all of that, Larson had qualified on pole, led the first 67 laps, but then fell back, or the better part of the first 67 laps, with only a 3-lap respite where Chase Briscoe took over. Briscoe led multiple times in the race, ended up finishing 6th. But after all of that, the driver that ended up making the most progress in the grand scheme was the eventual winner, Ryan Preece, using the different weather conditions to his advantage, using those wet tires and the numerous restarts to get himself in a position where he was able to come out and get the victory. Ryan Preece gets the win over William Byron. Ryan Blaney, who had a great car in the dry, then it went away in the wet. Then as it dried up again, he came back up. His good buddy Daniel Suarez in his first race for Spire finished 4th. Dennis Hamlin was 5th. Briscoe 6th. Dylan 7th. Chris Buescher 8th. Ross Chastain 9th. Alex Bowman from tailback to 10th. Actual bald Joey Logano with a goofy beard is 11th. Josh Berry advanced, finished 12th. So a lot of these guys, once you get past, the vast majority of this field at some point got some semblance of damage on their car or hit someone or something. Larson had issues after he led. Hocevar had been up front for a while, was leading. Keebler Gibbs led at the halfway break. Elliott, the defending race winner, was not a factor at all. Connor Zilic had made it all the way up to the top 5, but had issues. SVG was leading, got used up. Cindric didn't do anything really the whole entire main event. The Bubba was up there, but then got used up. Tyler Reddick never really had the pace in his 2311 Toyota. But, I mean, for Ryan Preece, it's a huge moment for him in his career. He's been grinding on the Cup circuit. The SHR closure looked like it might have been the end for him in the Cup Series before Brad Keselowski and Roush and Fenway Group were like, we want to give this guy an opportunity. And he ran really well for them last year. And it looks like, this, I mean, granted, if there's very few guys, I think that this type of situation, the format, and all these things would suit them best. This is probably, he's shown well in the LA clashes before. This is a weird scenario, but for Ryan Preece, he was emotional. He joins Jeff Gordon and Denny Hamlin as winners of the Clash before they ever won a points-paying event. So those are two great names to join. But for Ryan Preece, a lot of momentum going into next week at Daytona and starting the season off with a lot of positivity going and getting that victory at the Madhouse, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, for Ryan Preece, a huge momentum boost for him, confidence booster as well. And then also kind of just, affirmation, I guess, of what RFK's been doing the last couple of years, especially now that they've, moved to a 3-car program here. And, you could argue, and like what Kevin Harvick was saying last night in the broadcast, that the 60 was the best car over the course of the season for RFK Racing there. And, certainly Bowman-Gray track. I don't know if he's raced there unmodified before, but, certainly, it's a track that, fits his style for sure. And what he was able to do, especially in the rain, get up there and race for the lead. He was able to fend off SVG there. Shows what he's able to do as a driver, and it helps. They had a good handling car there at the end to be able to pull that off and drive away as the rain lessened and the track began to dry up and everything. So we'll see. When he's able to win a race. I think there's been multiple opportunities that he's had over the last year since he joined RFK to win a race here in the Cup Series. So it will be a matter of time, I think, before he wins. Could be at the Daytona 500. I mean, the RFK's had really good super speedway cars since they moved to the next gen platform. Obviously, he's had issues at Daytona, but on the other hand, he's one of those guys that can be up there when it counts, especially at a super speedway. So look for him to actually, I would say he could be one of those dark horse picks there. So we'll see how it all plays out. But overall, fairly interesting race. It was definitely one with a lot of chaos for sure. Typical short track racing stuff. Looking like in the first half it was going to be another Kyle Larson beatdown. Then he faded. Then the rain, sleet came. So we saw a lot of action, people getting cleaned out. The rain kind of changing the dynamic from normally being a bottom line to now being right up against the wall in the middle there. Guys driving up through the field, falling back through the field. Zilic, made his way up there. SVG made his way up there, and certainly using his rain racing experience to be able to take the lead initially, and he was able to hold off Ryan Preece there for a good bit until the handling went away. Daniel Suarez, of course, racing. I think racing with a little bit of a vengeance there. I think too, because definitely looked like he's got something to prove for sure this year. Because it's probably going to be if this doesn't work out, this might be his last opportunity. He had a really good Cup ride for sure. So obviously he's got a huge chip on his shoulder for this event. So and for the season. So yeah, for a lot of those guys, definitely opening the season with a bang for sure. On the other hand, with the amount of cautions that we had in this racing, like, there was caution just about every restart, not even making it back. Something would happen, somebody would get cleaned out or whatever, guys running out of gas because the caution lap's not counting and stuff. Definitely, there's a lot of cons to this race for sure. And I think, one thing to think about is limiting the amount of drivers. And people talk about, bring it back to Daytona and make it more special and all that stuff and help it lead into the 500 a little bit better. But I think it'd be better, first off to be able to limit the field to just, have some special qualifier. Like it used to be just pole winners. Now that's gone away. Now it's just kind of an elimination style race, kind of like what the All-Star race is. So it doesn't really make it that much different from what the All-Star race is, other than, the track that it's being raced on. So we'll see, what they do to try to address that and everything. Because this one, it was, definitely took a long time, with 3.5 hours or so, between start and finish. Of course, weather affecting it and all that, but definitely, like, it dragged on for a little bit more than what it probably should have. So, but at the same time, we get racing back, and good storyline there at the end with Ryan Preece, finally coming through and a breakthrough victory for him. So, be interesting if he can add his name to the list of drivers who have won the Clash with Jeff Gordon, Danny Hamlin, like you said, before they were able to get their first win. So we'll see where he's able to get his first win here later in the season if that does indeed happen.
Yeah, I mean, the point you made about Suarez, I mean, I guess Spire's made progress. Guess you can see it in the fact that Hurricane Hocevar went and signed a 4-5-year extension, counting this year, to drive through the year 2030, and he ran up front. And if you look at McDowell, if he doesn't jump that start, I think he probably goes and finishes second in that race and advances into the final. And then you have Suarez, who, he drove for Gibbs, probably didn't have a fair shot there, but, he did drive for Gibbs after winning an Xfinity title. He drove for SHR, and that was not an amazing team, to be fair, by the time he got there. Trackhouse, of course, he wasn't at the same level as Ross Chastain. And then you have, SPG winning all these races on road courses. And then Connor Zilic is sitting right there, and he just come off of winning 10 races and probably should have won an Xfinity title. So for Suarez, he was going to be the odd man out there. Part of the problem with only having being able to only field 3 teams, because of the charter limitations, if he wanted to keep Suarez, that is. But, Spire was able to be a soft landing for him. That 7 car's kind of been a dead zone car for a long time. May compete once in a while on a super speedway and then not do anything otherwise. So, Suarez is something to prove. Ryan Sparks is something to prove, like you're saying, and who knows, maybe they do something with that car. But, I mean, for some of these other guys, to get into the show, and I do agree that I think that if we're going to do, and the All-Star race at the end of the day should be winners. It should just go back to if they want to go back, make this a pole winners race and make it the freaking Busch Clash again. And I don't care. Race it somewhere. You could race it at freaking not Volusia. What the hell is the paved track out where, is it Five Flags? Where, the snowball happens? Yeah. So, like, go run this there or whatever.
Snowball Derby.
Yeah. Like, run it there or there's plenty of paved tracks Make the freaking back. They paid the whole entire goddamn backstretch. Go and put 30 to put enough seats up to go and have a stadium atmosphere and go and have it back there at Daytona. And just have it as pole winners. To me, that's fine. There should be exclusivity. It shouldn't be about let's have everybody show up because they have. The reality of the world is you will have a chance. There will be a last chance qualifier if you want to have or whatever. There can be a time trial of all the people that make the race. If you want to have a X amount, if you want to have 18 cars, let's just say half the field, counting charters, you want to have 18 cars in the field. Okay. Have everybody that's qualified on a pole in, and then from there you can go and have a couple of heats or something, and then have 18 cars and go for it. But or something. It's like it should be about pole winners for that race, and then be actual race winners from either the year before, the full year before, and any winner from up to that point in that particular year. And then that's what the All-Star race should be. And that's it. They have the Open, they do all that. They have this goofball vote, which goes to that inbred dipshit, Noah Gagson every year. Fine, you want to have those events, but it's like, it doesn't really do anything for anybody. And and there's one other point about the fuel that you made. And Briscoe was fueled up. He was going to be good to the end. And he would have won the race by default because everybody else would have had to pit. And instead they decided to throw another yellow after they've had 54 yellows before that. And then you're saying, oh, we're going to allow everyone to fill fuel. But then you wouldn't allow them to put slick tires on. Because her Osavar and Reddick both wanted to put slick tires on. Let them put slick tires on. It's so stupid. I mean, it's cool, Bowman-Gray. I get it. It was a good novelty act, the same way as the LA Coliseum for a couple of years. Novelty. Let's go to a place where there's an actual pit road. Let's go to a place where weather is actually somewhat, functional, can actually cooperate in a sense, and just have a simple exhibition. I forget who's the one that said, I think it was, I don't like that douchebag from the one that's with Gluck, his
Bianchi.
Buddy. Yeah, I don't like Jordan Bianchi, but he did make the point. Yeah, he just seems like a douche, and he probably is. But the fact is, he had the point of saying, look, for years, we knew Daytona, it was 12 o'clock in the afternoon, it was an hour show, they got going, you had 10 laps, do an invert, just swap the field, make them go from back to front, whatever the hell. They did an invert because it was Earnhardt, and Earnhardt passed everybody in 2 laps because he's Earnhardt. Ken Schrader won that race 2 years in a row. 20 laps, in and out. Give you a little preview. Just give you a little taste. They had qualifying the day before. They give you the clash the next day. Then you lead into that week of practice. You have other qualifying sessions. Then you have the 125s, now the dual 150s. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But we'll see what they do, what they come up with. I mean, hell, the Niners and the Rams are going to be going to Australia to open the season next year. So
wait, what?
Who knows? Yeah.
I did not know that.
They announced that today. I saw that all over the socials, and then George Kittle's entire response, he made some goofy line on a map from San Francisco or Santa Clara around the globe to Australia. His response was one word: woof. That was his entire response for the thought of having to do which is what is going to be 16 hours round trip to Australia to open the season. It's an LA Rams home game, which is good. I was the one thing I was worried about. I'm like, it's bad enough they're going, but if you lose a home game on top of it, that's even worse.
Oh yeah, that sucks.
But the Rams lose a home game and fuck them anyways. It's not like they really have a home field advantage to begin with. So yeah, they're going to be going to Australia. So at the end of the day, if you're really going to go for it, you want to do an all-star race, you want to do some sort of like exhibition, do an exhibition, go around Bathurst. I don't give a fuck. Like, it's better than driving around doing that demolition derby crap that they were doing yesterday. But we'll see what happens. Probably nothing. But yeah, I mean, Preece coming from 18th to win. I think the wet weather tires, don't want to call them rain tires, the wet weather tires played a part in that. But, for Preece, he did his part, and he's put himself in a good momentum position to go into next week, where, of course, you have qualifying, you're going to have the duels, you're going to be in a spot to, see what you can do in what is the biggest race of the year for NASCAR. So let us, some of the other things I mentioned, the Spire contract extension for Hurricane Hocevar, the different sponsors for Zane Smith, Mystic Lubricants, Progressive Insurance is only going to sponsor Denny Hamlin for 11 races. I guess that means Bob's Discount Furniture is going to take a bigger part on his car. Flow Racing will simulcast 16 NASCAR races, so I think it's a bunch of ARCA races. Mostly ARCA, either east or west, and there's some high limit. That's not NASCAR, but whatever. Few wheel and modified tour events as well. So, alrighty then, there's that. Onan Staffing sponsoring Richard. The pig that he used to fuck was busy yelling about Billie Eilish. Maybe she needs somebody to help her find a job, or maybe to go and tape her mouth shut. Denny Hamlin re-injured shoulder during the off season in the aftermath of the fire that saw his dad pass away, and then his mom get hurt in his parents' home there. Let's see, so the antitrust lawsuit okay. I thought that was already taken care of, but I guess not.
I think officially.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Casey Mears gonna try to make the Daytona 500 for Carl Long's team, the 66 car. The Charlotte race in the fall will be a 400-mile oval race instead of 500 miles, and it won't be the Roval. A couple of 250-mile races for the trucks and Xfinity. Probably should make it 200 for the trucks, but whatever. So going on. Gio Ruggiero will race in the first. Will drive the 19 and the first two Xfinity or the O'Reilly Series races, and then drive the 18 ARCA car for 6 races. I think that's a fill to fill the spot before Brent Cruz gets of age, I guess. That's part of it. Cletus McFarland, after he passes whatever tests at Rockingham here at the end of this week, is scheduled to drive for Nice Motorsports. They already have Travis Pastrana, so guess they're definitely they're doing what they can with the social media aspect of it. A renumbered number 4 truck will be the truck for McFarland if he is cleared. The 42 will be the truck for Travis Pastrana. And then you count, of course, you look at the situation where you have Tony trying to make it with the Dodge program with what's it called, Colleague Racing. Yeah, so Tyler Reif, who's been making an asshole out of himself on that Dodge deal for Ram, and I think everybody and their mother knows that Mini Tyrell's going to win it, but how he's going to win it's to be determined. But we'll see. I guess we'll talk about it next week on episode 302 because we'll have they haven't released an entry list. So Dario Franchitti is going to be racing a truck at St. Petersburg, which is insane. I thought his competitive career had ended with his crash at Houston 13 years ago, but I guess he's feeling pretty good again. And it's been cleared, and he ran at Dubai, the 24 Hours of Dubai with the team. Of course, getting coaxed by his good friend Jimmy Johnson probably helped, and getting the funding, the connections between Tricon and Legacy Motor Club. But Dario Franchitti would have been there, I think, working on his Chip Ganassi coaching gig with Kiffin Simpson, will be driving at St. Pete, and former winner in 2011 at St. Petersburg in an IndyCar, has done very well there in his career. And it's weird how this truck series seems all these people are showing up randomly. Even though Jamie Little sucks at announcing, she's going to still be the lead announcer for a bunch of races, at least probably early part of the season. Fox Sports hired Eric Brennan and Brent Stover to also be lead announcers at some point during the season. So hopefully they're used more than Jamie Little is, because she's terrible. The broadcast yesterday was like palatable, but the video replay, like the recording of highlights and stuff, was pretty bad on their part from Fox. So, I guess when the owner of the series isn't licking the president's balls, I guess that's where you have to go to when it comes to like broadcasting of a racing series. But that's besides the point. Let's see. All right, so that's that. Okay. Went over news, NASCAR, new news, NFL coaching. So yeah, the last 2 NFL coaching jobs were closed out there. Granted, it's not like official, because of course the Super Bowl has to finish. So we'll see. Tell you first. Okay, so Josh McDaniels wins first career assistant coach of the year accolade. Really? Tetaroa McMillan offensive rookie of the year. Tyler Shuck was second. CMC comeback player of the year. Joe Thuney protector of the year. Myles Garrett defensive player of the year. Mike Vrabel second coach of the year award. The Pro Football Hall of Fame is Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, Luke Kuechly, Adam Vinatieri, and Roger Craig, which, for me as a 49er, he's a fan. He's a legend, first 1,000 running back ever. He's a senior ballot. He's been on there for years. It's insane that he hadn't went in. But I think the people that have been with it being in San Francisco, Santa Clara, it's a big deal to see that for Roger Craig and for 49ers. Breeze, first ballot Hall of Famer, and Larry Fitzgerald, first ballot Hall of Famer as well. Luke Kuechly, second year of eligibility for him. Larry Fitzgerald we know what Breeze and Fitz, what they did. Fitzgerald had one of his best games of his career in a Super Bowl and had a touchdown, 64-yard touchdown that theoretically could have been the game winner. Luke Kuechly was one of the most fearsome linebackers in the game, and he was just super tough and brutal to have to play against. He was one of the smartest guys, arguably the greatest kicker that's ever played in American football. Adam Vinatieri will join Lou Groza. That says Gronza, but it's Groza probably. George Blanda, Jan Stenerud, and Morton Anderson as a Pro Football Hall of Famer, which is just huge. This crazy. 5-person class of 26 is second smallest to be inducted in the last 20 years. 2025 class featured just 4, fewest since 2005 when Dan Marino, Steve Young, Benny Friedman, Fritz Pollard were called to the Hall. A 4-member class is now the smallest allowed under the Hall's current bylaws. The selection committee may elect up to 5 modern-era players for the class. Each must receive a minimum positive vote for 80%. Craig was the lone man from the 5 contributor, coach, and senior finalists to be elected. Voting these is done separately as his own group distinct from modern era. Minimum 1 person and a maximum of 3 from these combined categories may be elected under the Hall's recently revised bylaws. Those bylaws, of course, coming under fire because of Bill Belichick not getting in on a first ballot. There was rumors that they were keeping him out and they were going to put Kraft in. Kraft didn't make it in either. So I think the cover for that is they put Automatic Adam, who at the end of the day, everybody knows him as a Patriot. He kicked the field goal that won the first Super Bowl for Belichick and Brady. He kicked another one in Houston. The game was in Houston. I'm trying to remember who they played. I think it might have been Carolina. That Super Bowl and won that game. He went to Indianapolis and was able to win a Super Bowl there. He's still involved. To be fair, he's still involved in Indianapolis because he owns with Dr. Jack Miller, Jack William Miller's Indy Lights car. So there is that. But yeah, those are, you look at the small Hall of Fame class, but you can't question any of them guys being in there really, honestly. You can question the process, I'll say that. And then Carson Wessinger, the linebacker for the Cleveland Browns, was AP Defensive Rookie of the Year. Good for him. So yeah, Offensive Player of the Year hasn't been announced. Walter Payton Man of the Year hasn't been announced. Christian McCaffrey won FedEx Ground Player of the Year, along with the Salute to Service Award. So big week for CMC. 3 awards already. So who knows? Maybe he might get Offensive Player of the Year too, but I doubt it. He should have been the MVP a couple of years ago, but so we'll see. There's a few more awards left to be announced, but in terms of, I wanted to see news, thoughts on the fantasy news roundup. I was trying to look for the coaches. Dallas will be playing the first game in Rio. Or
Against who?
let's see. They will be blah, 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 blah. They didn't say, but Dallas is going to be in the game. Yeah, they also announced San Fran to play the Rams in the first ever game in Melbourne, playing at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. So that'll just be lovely. Less need one to punch Jeff Stoutland. Well, never heard of him, but I guess he's a great offensive line coach. Nathaniel Hackett's going to the Cardinals as the OC. Pittsburgh Steelers are finally finalizing a deal. Brian Angelicio, whoever the fuck he is. Frank Reich is going to be the offensive coordinator for the Jets.
I'm sure Vic loved to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, considering how much of a cluster it seems to be, the Wink Martindale story just is disturbing. But it's not really that surprising, to be fair. It's the Jets. Yeah, they have Ian Cunningham. Never knew who the hell he was. Mike LaFleur, head coach of the Cardinals. So younger brother Matt. So both of them in the same conference coaching, albeit different divisions. So it was something that John Harbaugh was trying to avoid in regards to the Raiders situation, if that had been something that would have been of interest. Then you have Clint Kubiak is going to be the head coach of the Raiders starting Monday. So similar to what Kyle Shanahan had when 28-3 happened. Speaking of the Patriots. I'm talking about the Atlanta Falcons too, with Matt Ryan, talking about their whole new regime. Cleveland hired Todd Monken for their head coaching job. Matt Nagy is going to be the offensive coordinator for the Giants. So they'll be working with Jackson Dart. There is no divert. That's the whole point. It's a joke. The Rooney Rule's a joke anyways. Titans hired Gus Bradley as the defensive coordinator, which isn't surprising after the Niners went with Raheem Morris, a former head coach in both Tampa and Atlanta. The fact that Gus Bradley had been there as an assistant head coach this past season, working with Bob Saleh. Think some of their philosophies working together to make that defense, and something that you'll have to see twice a year, Josh, with your Jags. So,
I mean, Gus Bradley's defense is like one of the worst defenses anyways, so yeah.
And he was a former Jags head coach. That's true too.
Yeah.
So there is that. Davis Webb promoted to offensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos. Anthony Weaver comes back to the Ravens as a defensive coordinator. And Sean McVay ain't going to TV yet. The Steelers had Scott Tolzien for an interview for the offense. That's such a great name for a president type guy for the NFL, because they used to have Carmen Policy, the 49ers, which is a name, but now they have Al Guido, the 49ers, and he looks like an Al Guido. So he's a CEO of the 49ers, Al Guido. CJ Ayu, that's his actual name. Come on, man. That's not a goof. Oh, man. I thought that was a name from like Key and Peele sketch. Sean Duggan's going to be the Dolphins defensive coordinator for Jeff Halfley. So that's coaching updates. Did you have any takes on any of those that have been updated? Yeah.
Not
All
really.
right. So, I mean, a lot of the nothing really too surprising. The lack of diversity, well, that's definitely not surprising. But, you see what the way the NFL is. When you have owners that are that have questionable characters too, so and they let them stay around because they just got a hell of a lot of money. Mitch Evans, yeah. So what was that? Miami was last weekend. So Miami E-Pre saw Mitch Evans start ninth, ran the fastest lap, gets the victory over the Porsche factory drivers Nico Muller, who qualified on pole, and Pascal Wehrlein. Joel Eriksson, Nick DeVries, Eduardo Mortara, Sebastian Buemi. So then you have Porsche, then Envision, Mahindra, the second Jaguar, Antonio Felix da Costa. So 4 teams in the top 8. Then Pepe Marti and Jake Dennis rounding out your top 10. Their next race will be the doubleheader at Jeddah. The standings heading into Jeddah next week, which we'll preview again. Cassidy, who had a non-point score, 16th, goes, and the gap now is what is it? I think it was 4 points. Now it's 2 points to Pascal Wehrlein instead of 4 points to Jake Dennis. Oliver Rowland didn't score any points at Miami, but is only 6 points back. Nico Muller, with his second place finish, moves up to 5th, 7 points back. Mitch Evans, with his win, goes from no points to 26th and up to 6th in points. Had a non-point score at Mexico and DNF'd out of the first race at Brazil. Eduardo Mortara tied with him, coming off of a DNF at Brazil, second in Mexico, and then a 6th place at Miami. Joel Eriksson, Buemi, and then Taylor Barnard, Nick DeVries tied for 10th. And then the teams, Porsche, large lead, 27 points on Citroen. Then Mahindra is further 6 points behind Citroen, point ahead of Andretti. Nissan is 9 points behind Citroen. And then Envision is 13 points back, 14 points Jaguar TCS. First points of the year in the third race. And then Porsche has a 25-point lead over Stellantis. Then Jaguar is in third, is 7 points back of Stellantis. Then Nissan, Mahindra. In Supercross, they ran at Houston NRG Stadium last week. So it was a triple crown. And Hayden Deegan won all 3 motos, so he won the overall. Levi Kitchen was second with 2 seconds and a third. Cameron McAdoo 2 thirds and a fourth. Finished third. Max Volan, Ryder DeFrancesco was 5th. Max Anstey finished second in the third moto, but had 10th and 6th earlier in the night. In the 450s, Cooper Webb gets his first win of the year by 1 point over Hunter Lawrence and Ken Roczen. Roczen had won the first moto, Hunter Lawrence the second moto. Eli Tomac won the third, and it crashed out of a good position in the second, which would have probably given him a chance to win it overall. Cooper Webb, super consistent, 4th, 2nd, 3rd in the 3 motos, was the difference there, versus Hunter Lawrence, who had a 7th in the first moto. Ken Roczen was pretty solid in his night. Eli Tomac, Chase Sexton, tied with 17 points there, and then Anderson, Prado, Malcolm Stewart, Cooper, Dylan Ferrandis rounds out your top 10. The standings heading to Glendale this coming weekend. Of course, the Phoenix Open for golf is going on as well. So, Tomac, 4-point lead on Hunter Lawrence, 12 on Roczen, 14 on Sexton. Cooper Webb's is 17 points back in 5th. Anderson is a full race back right now. In 250 West, Deegan's 19 points out of his teammate Anstey. Moseman is another teammate, 20 points back. DeFrancesco is 21 back. So that's, and then the manufacturers. All right, so let us move forward here and get into the Super Bowl. To be fair, I haven't, ever since the Niners got knocked out a couple of weeks ago, I haven't really been all that compelled to care. Seattle put a whooping on them twice in 3 weeks, went out and held off the Rams in the NFC Championship game. Darnold trying to silence doubters after being the number 3 overall pick in the NFL draft and bouncing around the league. Seattle has one of the best defenses in recent years. That has been suffocating and stifling for a lot of teams. They didn't play that way a few weeks before that, or they played that way, I guess, a few weeks before that, to somehow or another allow Sam Darnold to make a comeback after he'd played a terrible game against the Rams, and allowed them to get back into it and then get that win, which I think was a catalyst for them to go on the run that they've went on. The Patriots have been, I think, the only team that really gave them any problems this year was the Bills. Other than that, I think, there are other teams I think they played over the year that might have given them a bit of a challenge. They're the underdogs in this game. They do have the coach of the year, but last year's coach of the year was Mike McDonald, right? So it's like, you have the last 2 coaches of the year. You have 2 guys who've been hired recently and have proven to be successful and the right choices. Vrabel being let go by Tennessee will be one of the worst decisions that organization's ever done, but they made plenty of bad ones over the years. They basically let Derrick Henry go for a ham sandwich. And I think they got rid of AJ Brown and Derrick Henry, and basically got a kid's rod and reel set from Walmart for them both. So that's essentially, that's just the Titans for you. So good luck, Bob Saleh. But Patriots, you have guys like Diggs who are trying to get that first ring. You have some other veteran presence players there. Now you got the talk that Tom Brady said, I'm not rooting for the Patriots, so they're using that as fuel. Tom Brady, ever since he's retired, it seems like he can't get out of his own way. It's like, I know, like, you're not supposed to because you're a TV person, but it's like, dude, your whole career basically was with the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean,
the fact is, like, Joe Montana, for as much as he hates Steve Young, he'll always root for the 49ers. The Steve Young always roots for the 49ers. Jerry Rice played for I don't know how many teams. He lives at 49er games. You know what I mean? Like, you are synonymous with a team. You go and support that. I mean, like, even to be fair, like, Peyton Manning is an Indianapolis Colt. At the end of the day, he's synonymous with the Colts. But he lives at goddamn Denver games because that's where he ended his career, and he lives there now. Like, the fact is Denver's John Elway, like, it's not Peyton Manning, and especially the way he played, but
Yeah.
even he has more awareness, like, you can't go anywhere without seeing Eli's goofy face on something or doing something, whether it's a food commercial, whatever, or something that has to do with like kids, good things with like kids and stuff, but he's a giant, like, but while it's not there's no winner for me in this one because if Seattle wins, it makes me want to puke. Because it's another Super Bowl that a team in that division wins, and the Niners have to sit there and watch it. They watched the Rams win one recently. Seattle did it and beat them in the NFC Championship game and broke NaVorro Bowman's leg, and then went out there and won that Super Bowl over Denver with Peyton Manning in MetLife. Probably should add two. So that's the whole thing. Most of these players, virtually all of them, none of them had anything to do with it, and that game, the Beast Mode game where they didn't run them. And you think about what Seattle's had to go through to get back to that point. Seattle's had close calls, and that's two close calls in Super Bowls where they probably could have, should have won. They've got the one, and now they're trying to get a second one. I think there's two things. One is, if Seattle's defense plays to the level that they've been playing at over the past like month and a half, I have a hard time believing that the Patriots are going to be able to do enough on offense to fade that. The one thing they have in their favor is if Sam Darnold goes and reverts back to what he was doing for a good amount of the season, and their offense, which was turning the ball over. If that happens, I think the Patriots are quite resourceful, and special teams wise, they can compete too. But if we're talking about who's like the best special teams player in the game, it's probably Rashid Shaheed, and he plays for Seattle. And Myers is a solid veteran kicker. And then he knows that field. He's played there many times. I'm not sure what the weather conditions are, but I think they should be all right. So I think Seattle at the end of the day goes and gets this one. We'll go and say 27-14. I'll just do not play. It's not good. It does not make me feel good about the world, but that's what I think is going to happen. I don't know what the line is. I'm sure it's much lower than that. Could have probably went like 24-14 or something, but I think that we'll go like 24-14. That's what I'll say. 24-14. Seattle gets another Super Bowl. How about you, Joe?
Well, I mean, if you go on at least I'm going on Hard Rock right now, and I think not I think, I just saw it. They have it at -5 for Seattle point spread. So yeah, I think if you go by that, Seattle should win. But then I also think, well, that means that probably the Patriots are going to cover somehow, but still lose. I think Seattle ultimately wins, but Patriots find a way to cover that spread there. So it could be closer. Like, could be a game that, for a good majority of it is, a 10-point game, but then at the end it ends up being something like a 23-20 or something like that. So I'll go with that and say they win 23-20. I think it's going to end up looking like a closer game at the end on paper, but in reality, I think it's going to be a a slugfest for the Patriots. Now, you did bring up a point there with Darnold kind of reverting back to his old ways, and I mean, it was against the Patriots back in 2019, I believe, where he was just seeing ghosts all over the field. So, if that Darnold comes back, then maybe it might be a better chance for the Patriots on Sunday here. So we'll see. We'll see which Darnold comes out. But if it's the one that's been playing for, the last month and a half, the guy that brought the Minnesota Vikings to 14-3 last year, with how he's played, and just overall how he's generally it seems like he's turned it around and everything. Then I think they win this game. So I mean that's ultimately what I pick. I mean I just go by defense and how they've played, and I just go back to like you talked about how they got destroyed, or the 49ers, how they got played by the Seahawks 2 out of 3 weeks in a row like that, and how bad that was for y'all. And I mean I look at how the Jaguars played against the Seahawks back in October, and that was like right off the Monday night game for the Jaguars. They beat the Chiefs, and that game it was just a slugfest for both sides. And then the game kind of turned in the second half. They gave up a touchdown to JSN there. So, but I just look at how the defensive line was able to dominate that game, and they've been able to dominate other teams as well. So, the Seahawks, they've been really good throughout the season. I mean, the one questionable game that maybe they could have given up was the one where they lost, or they beat the Colts on Phillip Rivers' return to football, and that was a really close game than maybe it should have been, and everything. So I mean it could go either way, but I ultimately think the Seahawks are going to end up winning this game. Yeah, Patriots have had a great season, but I think finally the certainly the path to this getting here was pretty tough, but they played a team that was basically dead in the Chargers, and then they played a dead offense in the Texans, and then they got the benefit of the doubt with playing against the backup quarterback in Jarrett Stidham and playing in the snow. So when you look at that was a pretty easy path forward to the Super Bowl for them. And then now they're going up against the toughest opponent that they faced this whole season. I just don't think that it's in the cards for them, or anything. But certainly could be a possibility. But I think Seattle's ultimately the better team now. I think the real question is who's going to win it, MVP. I think if Seattle wins, and I think if Seattle wins sure-handedly, I think maybe you could see them giving the MVP to JSN. But I think if it ends up being a closer game, then maybe go with Sam Darnold, just default to the quarterback. But it's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out. But I mean I'll probably put up some parlays here. Cook a parlay. Maybe I'll have to consult Vic or somebody from the fantasy chat and see what they're doing before I cook something up on Sunday evening, I guess. And we'll just throw down like 15 or $20 and then just go throw on 10 crazy lines and hope it all lines up and get a nice payday. But we'll see what happens. I mean I do this every year for fun, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and we'll all find out and go to whatever, whether we're watching home or doing whatever, do it responsibly and safely, of course. And we'll talk about it next week. So, Josh, let us know what's going on in iRacing and gaming in the sim segment.
Yeah, I guess, for iRacing, for me, I mean, so there was, because I don't really have I haven't done too much lately other than the 24, which is a couple weeks ago now. But for me, I mean, I saw this video, I guess the other day or last weekend of I guess one of the esports races. That was like a private event. It was a Daytona 500, but it was called like the Florida 500 or something. But I guess one of the regulars in there is a esports racer named Malik Ray. Kind of won on the last lap. Like he was able to save it pretty easily. Like, 'cause I guess someone like try to spin him out off turn four. He's able to save it pretty easily, but then coming to the line, he right hooked somebody. But what got my attention to that is somebody else commenting and saying that the steering ratio was like 270 or 200 or whatever, whereas like the person that was writing this quote saying that they compete at 900, and I was like, wait a minute, that's the steering ratio that I compete at is 900, which is full lock to lock like a street car. And then after kind of doing research, it seems like a lot of the esports guys, they set their steering ratios up for 200-degree steering. Because it's a lot more responsive, a lot quicker steering. You're able to cover slides easier, especially in the Cup car and all that, and allows you to hold a more steadier line or a more precise line. So, I've been kind of doing some research on there and everything, and I might try that to see if it helps me out. And it seems like not just for the Cup car, but it could help for the IndyCar, IMSA, and all that stuff that like to compete in. So, gonna try changing around my steering settings, I guess, and see how that works. Maybe it might make me a little bit better in there. See how I can improve, see how it feels. I mean, I've been able to compete fine, I guess, but I guess there's been times, especially like qualifying for the Indy 500, I guess is where I've really noticed it. It seems like you really have to hold a precise line, especially turn one and turn three. And I know there's been some times where I've not held the best line, I guess, in those corners, and lost some speed, I think. And maybe it's because the way I have the steering set up in the game overall. So we'll see. I guess this weekend I'll toy around with some settings for that, and that plays out for me. This week on iRacing, IndyCar Pro Series at Phoenix Raceway, which I think they just had that. Philip Kraus won that. Let's see, IMSA. Trying to look here. Oh, I guess a community event here. The Bar Visuals FTF.GG 500 community event at the Daytona International Speedway with the Gen 6 cars, 500 in line for the winner, 500 miles, $500. I don't know where that. Oh, that's on Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. So it's actually coming up. I don't know. Might have been already too late to sign up for that, but we'll see. PGR 500. That is on Sunday. Trying to look. I thought I saw something that might be a. I got to look at this here. That's another community event for the Daytona 500 on February 8th. Let's see. IndyCar P1 Open Series Top Split Monday on February 9th. Indy NXT Series competing as well. iRacing Coca-Cola iRacing Series first race of the year coming up, qualifying on Tuesday. E-Race NASCAR College iRacing Series kicking off 7 p.m. next Wednesday at Michigan there. So I think this week on iRacing, Homestead's on the table for Truck Series. IndyCar's at Auto Club. Got the the Cup Series is at Richmond here. Trying to look here. Indy NXT at New Hampshire. GR86 cars at Red Bull Ring. iRacing GT3 at Regional Tour at Watkins Glen. IMSA iRacing Series at Jerez. See here. Trying to see where the Xfinity or the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series is at. Yes, the ORAP Series or OAP Series. No Ops Series is trying to figure out that acronym now. That's going to be kind of a hard one to figure out at Echo Park Speedway Atlanta this week. So got that on the agenda there. The IndyCar, I guess, Formula Series is at Mid-Ohio this week. on the schedule there. Trying to see where the 87 cars are at. I'm not sure where. See that. I thought I saw something about like an 87 series of NASCAR Legend Series Daytona 500. So I don't know if it's too late to sign up for that, but I thought about it, and if it's still open. Maybe I might try to do that. I think that was on Sunday, but I don't know yet when exactly that is. So we'll see. But yeah, I guess try to stream something. I think the iRacing Daytona 500 is coming up. I guess the weekend of the Daytona 500. Obviously, pretty busy weekend of racing, of course, with Daytona 500, Xfinity, and Truck Series on the agenda. So, I mean, I have no plans right now to go to any of that in person, but be at least watching that on TV at the very least. So we'll see there. But in between all of that, we'll see if we can fit in the iRacing Daytona 500, possibly if maybe before all of that or at some point during one of those days. So we'll see. But maybe we'll be able to get that in. But yeah, I'll probably stream that, of course, at my Twitch page on Twitch, uSailor2. You can watch all that and go on there and watch all my streams. So we'll go figure it out and play around with the setup and see what we can come up with for the race and figure it out. So yeah, iRacing, back in full swing, just as real racing is now that football is just about wrapping up here. So we'll see on there, and then of course go on my Twitter page, of course, and follow me at JP Huffine on there, and then of course go on to the YouTube page, Grip Strip Podcast on YouTube, and subscribe to us on there. And then of course you can go on to JP or Josh Huffine Photography on Instagram and go look at my Instagram page and see all the photos I've taken of races and rocket launches and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, might have to check out St. Pete here at the end of the month, I guess. Maybe take some pics of Dario Franchitti going to NASCAR finally. So, or returning to NASCAR, because he used to compete back in the day in Xfinity for a season or two. So we'll see how that goes. And he was in the Cup Series too for like 5 races. So yeah, we'll how we're able to do that. And then of course looking forward to Super Bowl this weekend, and yeah, now being back in full swing for Daytona 500 and all that stuff. So yeah, we'll be sure to cover all of that throughout the year. But yeah, excited for all that.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be now that we're gonna have NASCAR back, we're gonna have something to talk about from basically now till November, because of NASCAR season being as long as it is. So it's great to have that back. We get the Clash out of the way. Now we're going to talk about Daytona. So next week, episode 302, we'll talk about the Super Bowl. You'll also talk about the F1 Bahrain test after the quote unofficial test at Barcelona. Then different news updates. We'll talk about AMA Supercross, Formula E, WRC. We'll do our previews for all 3 major NASCAR events at Daytona, make our picks, and of course bring back for the first time in 2026 the Tate Fogelman algorithm will be back. So will the Tate Fogelman algorithm pick Cletus McFarland for Biff? Who knows? Maybe that would be something, or Travis Pastrana, or somehow or another pick a Reum truck or some shit. But something we'll see for sure. And then we'll make our picks for qualifiers for the open cars, who makes the pole and whatnot. So getting all that. You can find, of course, Josh mentioned the Gripshire Podcast YouTube page. Also, you can find the show on GSP 1428. You can find us at podbean.com and philipgmatthew.com on WordPress. You can find me at PGMGSP28 on Instagram, Blue Sky, PGMatthew28 on Twitter. And yeah, so that's it for this week for episode 301 of the Grip Podcast. And Daytona's right around the corner. The racing season in full swing. So getting ready for that. Looking forward to it. The winter blues hopefully go out of the way because we're going to have racing here on a regular appetite of that here starting next week. So thank you for listening, Grip Your Podcast. Thank you for subscribing, subscribe, the whole bit. Tell your friends about it. And yeah, for Josh, I'm Phil. We'll see you next time.